Welcome to our program today. With me is a very special guest who's going to share with us the role of the Adventist University of Africa in research. Welcome to our program.
Thank you.
Please tell us a little. Please tell us a little bit about yourself and your career path.
Okay, well, first, I probably should start with my name, Susan Baker. My professional background is as a physical therapist. I've practiced physical therapy for quite a number of years. Worked in every area of physical therapy. I've worked with pediatrics, kids, geriatrics, older people, and everywhere in between on the spectrum of life. So basically, I'm a rehabilitation specialist. That's what physical therapists basically do. But maybe about 20 years ago, I became interested in teaching. And I started teaching in physical therapy, and then it branched out. So I've practiced in physical therapy. I've taught at all levels in physical therapy, from entry level to doctoral level. My educational background is that I have a terminal degree, a Doctor of Science, and it's really prepared me well for academics. So I've done that basically as a professional career. I'm here at the university, Adventist University of Africa. My roles here are research director, director of faculty development, and I also teach in the public health program.
Wow.
So it's been a busy life here at AUA, but a very good life.
That's fantastic. We will come for some physical therapy.
Okay, but you asked about my family life too. I have to add that, right?
Exactly.
Good, okay, I am married. Been married for over 40 years. Wow. So maybe one time we should come and talk about marriage too. That's
absolutely.
Something I've got a lot of experience in.
Sure.
But my husband works here at Adventist University of Africa also. He's been in educational administration. His background is ministry. He's an ordained Seventh-day Adventist minister. But we've been here working together at AUA. We have 3 adult sons, very adult, and probably the joy of our life is that we have 6 grandchildren.
Wow.
So that's exciting.
Oh, that's lovely. Now coming to the work that you do.
Yes.
Discuss the role of research at the Postgraduate University.
Well, you know, Priska, research is when you get, the higher you go into education, especially at the higher levels of education and postgraduate education, the more important it becomes that you are able to contribute to your profession, contribute to the field, contribute to the body of knowledge. And at the postgraduate level, we really expect the institution, as well as the faculty, as well as students, to be able to contribute meaningfully through research. Research is something that as professionals we engage in, and it's going to go on after we're gone. You know, because the value of research is that it just keeps building and building until you get a body of knowledge that is durable, that has some rigorous evidence behind it. So at AUA, we really focus on research quite a bit. We're an excellent university. We've got a lot going on academically, and we try to keep the balance with contributing to the body of knowledge, which is what we do professionally through research.
Wow. Now, do students at the Adventist University of Africa have to do any type of research before they obtain their degree?
Oh my goodness, yes. In fact, that's probably one of the most intense parts of their academic program. Before every student graduates, they have to do an original research production. So it's either a project, a thesis, or a dissertation, depending on which level of education they're in. Master's level students can do projects or theses, and of course, doctoral level students have to do a dissertation. So before each of our students graduate, they have to produce that research in the field that they're studying in or in the field of their interest.
Wow.
Now, we have two schools, so we have different research going on. In the theological seminary, we have research that focuses around theological topics, but also very practical topics of ministry and of pastoral life. And that's a very important part of the research that AUA produces. Then in our other school, which is the School of Postgraduate Studies, we look more at social science research. We have degrees in business, public health, leadership, and applied computer science. So the research focuses a little bit more on the social sciences side of research.
Wow. So if I have to come to AU, I have to gear up for research.
Oh my goodness, yes, because everyone does. We really try to support our students well with research, and that's part of what my office does. My office is part of a team. We believe in using a team approach to research to support students. So our research office is part of the team. We do editing, we do review, we do looking at the ethical aspects of the research, especially if human subjects are involved. But like I said, we're part of a team.
Yeah.
Each student has advisors that support them through the work. They have faculty that support them. They have program directors that support them. The deans, it really is, like they say, it takes a village to raise a child.
Sure.
We almost have the same philosophy that it takes a village to produce good research. So our students are very well supported.
That's fantastic support.
Yeah.
Now, explain how quality education and quality research are related.
Well, to really have a quality education, you have to be able to develop the skills of inquiry and critical thinking. Those two skills are important in any field of education. And of course, in research, those are primary skills. Can you think critically, and do you have an inquiring mind? So research and quality education, they really go together. But really, Prisca, when you think of it, all of us are researchers in one way or another. I mean, everything we think about, when we go to the store, we're really we're evaluating or we're examining and thinking, does that product meet my needs? It's a type of research. When we think about a car that we want to buy, we research the cars. We try to figure out what is the best. When we think about who we want to marry, to all of your viewers out there who are not married, please put adequate research into thinking about who you marry. And you may kind of smile and say, oh, you researched that? But research is just asking questions that are valid. That's all research is. And then searching for answers that answer the questions that you asked. That's really what research is. So we really apply research in every aspect of our lives. If we are responsible social citizens, then we are also social researchers.
I see, because mostly we fear when we hear research in school, you're like, oh no, research. So I'm glad to hear that it's something we do on a daily basis. I wish we were aware.
It is. But I think people get thrown off with research because for some reason we've made it a totally scholarly activity and we haven't really brought out the practical aspects of it. But it's a very practical application. It's something we do every day. It doesn't have to be statistically based. Academic research often has statistics. If it's quantitative or if it's qualitative, it looks at the qualitative aspects of it. But we do research all the time without making it too fancy in our daily lives.
Now, what type of research are faculty at the Adventist University of Africa involved in? You mentioned that staff also do some research.
Yes. And our faculty, I think that we have some of the most active faculty in research and publications that I've seen in any university, anywhere. Most of our faculty, I would say 95% of them are involved in either active research or are publishing actively. Usually the two go hand in hand. But our faculty are excellent in the research that they produce and in the research that they're interested in. And it covers a broad variety, as I said earlier, of areas.
Okay. Now, there's this confusing aspect of research. I have been confused myself several times. One research finding shows you something is good. The next research finding tells you, oh, no, that's bad for you, especially when it comes to issues of nutrition. How do we really apply research findings for us to make decisions, choices, or be able to move forward without getting confused?
You know, that's really a good question. It really is, because I think especially research related to health has that issue that, you know, like you said, you do see one study that says this is good, then you see another study that says, no, that's not good, this is good. I think what people need to do who are critical thinkers is think carefully about research. One question we ask in research is, does it make sense? You know, and that's just a basic rudimentary question. Does the research that I'm reading make sense? So if people who don't really have a strong research background, but they are reading conflicting research, the first question to ask is, does this make sense? I mean, on my gut level, does it make sense? Then I think that a word that we like to use in research sparingly, and that is balance. Balance. I think when we look at research that is out there, in our minds, do we have a sense of what is balanced? What is a good approach? You know, don't go too far to the left, don't go too far to the right. And then I think another thing that people who read research need to be careful about is what they're reading. Are you getting all of your research from the internet? That may not be the wisest choice. You know, sometimes it's just good to pick up a book and to look and to read and to research in that way, or keep up with current literature, as opposed to just going to the internet to find everything. You got to be pretty discriminating when you look at research, and even when you look just generally at the internet. You know, I'm sure you agree.
Sure. Dr. Google can give you lots of things. Now, it seems...
But now I love Google.
Yeah.
I love Google. It really has done, especially for researchers.
Yes.
You know, because we have what we used to spend hours in the library pulling books off the shelf. Now we can really condense that down. So the internet has been wonderful for researchers, but still, at every level, whether you're a top researcher or whether you're a consumer researcher, you just have to be careful what you're getting your facts from.
Thank you for that. Now, it seems like research is something that everyone does, like you said, in one way or the other. But is this really true when it comes to the kind of research that you do at AUA?
No, I think that there is a definite difference between the research that all of us as citizens do, or as practical people walking through the world, you know, what we do. And there is a difference between academic research, you know, where we're looking to solve questions at a higher level and with a more rigorous standard to apply to. One thing about research is if you're not careful, if you're not ethical, if you don't have parameters that guide you and that you're willing to stay within, then you can crank out a lot of research that's not worth it, that's not really, you know, durable and reliable. And those are two things, of course, we ask about research. So, you know, there's a difference in academic research. There are people that get paid a lot of money to do research because they're looking at things that are really valuable to us as a society. I mean, we think about what's happening now. We've got researchers working around the world to try to find a vaccine for coronavirus, or to find a treatment for COVID-19. Those people are very important to us right now. And all of a sudden, we may have never paid attention to research before, but now we're thinking about what they're doing. We can't afford for those people to be haphazard or to be unethical or to not apply the most rigorous standards to their research. So we expect different levels at different levels of research.
Wow.
Yeah. And we're praying for those researchers that they will find something. It's interesting. We don't have any vaccines that are effective for coronavirus. And there's a lot of coronaviruses. Coronavirus has been around for years, but we've never found an effective vaccine. So it's interesting to see whether the researchers will be able to come up with something now that we've got this deadly strain of coronavirus.
I'm sure we sure do hope and pray that they do get one.
We do.
You talked about the support you give to students in their research activities. What about faculty? What kind of support do they receive from your office?
Okay, I think when we think about faculty research, again, I think AUA is leading the way, or is very exemplary when it comes to the support that we give faculty. We actually give faculty time off every year if they choose to take it, to do research, to write publications, and to pursue their research portfolio. We also support them in various ways in terms of recognizing their research every year. We do that in a very formal way, which is very affirming to faculty, I believe. We also emphasize research. It's something that we talk about, that we fully support, and that faculty can feel comfortable pursuing their research portfolios.
Oh, that's fantastic. They really have a great opportunity. Now, in what ways does the Adventist University of Africa collaborate with other institutions to promote research?
It's important. It's important that institutions talk to each other and that they collaborate and do, if they're doing similar research, to have active collaborations. And we try to do that with institutions. Obviously, we try to collaborate with our sister institutions. In fact, at AUA now, we have the African Seventh-day Adventist Health Study that's going on through the School of Postgraduate Studies. And we have collaborated with Loma Linda University, with the General Conference, with Harvard University, actually. I mean, we've got some active collaborations going with that. Not only with other institutions, but we've collaborated with our partners around Africa, because this study is going to be major in that it is looking at Seventh-day Adventists, African Seventh-day Adventists across the continent. And so we have a big population pool. We also have a big support pool and a big collaborative partnership going on throughout the continent.
Wow, I would like to get the results,
okay.
findings of our research.
It will be interesting. Our theological research is very similar. AUA is leading the way with answering some of the theological questions that arise in the African context. So we have faculty who are theologians, who are also missiologists, who are also practical, systematic theologians. We have a wide variety of theologians who can look at what is necessary in the African context, what people are asking for, and can generate research, not only questions, because a lot of times research generates more questions, but they can generate answers and they can generate problem solving to practical issues that are contextually related to Africa.
Wow. What are the broad effects of research? How do you make that available, or how is the broad aspect of research valuable to the society, especially here in Africa?
Yes, academicians, researchers like to disseminate their research through professional journals. Mm-hmm. You know, that's something that just academicians feel like we've got to do that. That's a part of our professional responsibility. But one thing I think about our faculty and staff here at AUA is that the research really tries to take a practical aspect. So because of that, we disseminate not just through publications, but also through conferences and through other ways that academicians may not always think about doing. And that is going out and talking to people about what we're doing. Mm-hmm. You know, we meet community people, we meet people in churches, of course. We meet people in other academic institutions and really try to talk practically about what our research is doing, what we found, not keep it in the ivory tower of education, but bring it out in a very practical sense so that anybody can benefit from the research that we're doing.
That's so valuable indeed. Now, what types of research do you feel Kenya needs, or Africa as a whole?
Okay, that's really a good question. It's a question I ask my students very often too. So thank you for putting me on the spot. We know now, and I'm a little biased, let me just say that, because, you know, of course, I'm a healthcare professional. Mm-hmm. So I teach in public health too. So my context is health-related issues in Africa. Mm-hmm. And you know, those pretty much come to the top of any research agenda. Mm-hmm. What we need in Africa in terms of health promotion, in terms of health education, in terms of closing the gap between communicable diseases or reducing communicable diseases and keeping a close eye on the problem that we're having with non-communicable diseases. Mm-hmm. So that's something that I think is high, not just on our research agenda, but also on the research agenda of Africa, period. Mm-hmm. But I also know that Africa is very interested in technologic research. You know, how can Africa contribute meaningfully to closing a digital divide? How can technology be something that is more applicable to everyday life in Africa? Then, of course, there are also the issues of what we do in terms of social issues. You know, how can we reduce poverty? How can we reduce inequity among genders, among tribes, among countries? You know, so I think in terms of Africa, there's just a wide open research agenda that Africans need to address. Mm-hmm. And I really think it's important that Africans develop contextualized research for Africa that is something that can be really used and not just funded.
Sure. Thank you so much for that. Any final word to the viewers?
Well, I think research is something that is a very biblical concept. The Bible encourages us to examine ourselves. What is that but research? It's just saying, look at yourself, ask questions, think about where you are, try to come up with answers, and try to do it in a rigorous and analytic fashion. That's what research is. So research is a very biblical concept. The Bible also says, come, let us reason together. The Lord wants us to be people who use critical thinking and who use reasoning to come up with answers And that's what research does. So I guess if you asked final thoughts, I would say that I hope all of us, as people who are interested in doing good in our society, people who are interested in our families, people who are interested in spiritual life, recognize that it's important to ask the right questions, it's important to get good quality answers, and it's important for us as humans to help each other, which is the ultimate goal of research, and that is to make things be better. As Christians, as believers, certainly that's what we try to do on a daily basis. So research, spirituality go hand in hand.
Thank you so much for your time, and thank you for sharing.
Certainly, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much. Viewers, that's all we had for you today, and thank you for your time.